And this is one of those things too, where you listen to Meltzer and it's like, man, being at all these shows, it all came flooding back, and it really reminded me. It's like, man, Vince McMahon is not like us. He does not think like us. Anytime you try to make sense of something that happened on TV, or when Meltzer or Alvarez start texting whoever it is their stooges are on the inside, and they're like, oh, well, the thinking was blah, 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 blah. It's like, no. You're getting the opinion of the person that you're talking to, who is also trying to make sense of why Vince McMahon does what Vince McMahon does. No one can make any sense of what the man does. Why? And they're like, oh, well, they must be setting up such and such for Mania. I'm like, if only it wasn't going to change 15 times before fucking next week. I mean, so that being said, Meltzer was talking about, Smack. It was a blowout by Raw. Raw blew out SmackDown. They won every match. Well, right. Well, except for the pre-show. It's like, well, yeah. I didn't understand that. And it's like, well, one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. They don't think about these things before, and then they have to go back. And it's like, no, there's no way. I guarantee you, it was brought up to Vince beforehand. Like, well, they're gonna win. I'm sure this was brought up on fucking Friday. They're like, well, SmackDown's going to win the pre-show match. Isn't that going to be 1-? And he's like, it's a pre-show. It doesn't count. I guarantee you, this was not something that felt that the crowd. I have been inside. I have spoken to people who've worked there for years, who still work there. This is what people, when you get the Meltzers and the Alvarez's, and they're like, oh, God, you got 35 writers, and nobody thought of this. Nobody brought it. Of course they did. Of course they brought it up to him. And guess what? He said, nobody fucking cares. Nobody remembers that. Well, God damn it. It's a pre-show. Doesn't count, pal.